Hello everybody and welcome to another puzzle challenge video with ChessUniversity.com. This is Ryan Murphy and this is our first video of this week, so it's going to be back to our easier side of the difficulty scale in terms of how hard the puzzle's supposed to be. Same thing for the next couple of days. We're supposed to be having these puzzles, I would say, aimed at players rated about 1,000 and below, so important tactical motifs for everybody to know, but they shouldn't be too difficult. The first one we have here is black to play and win. Black already has an overwhelming positional advantage just in terms of the pawn structure and the piece placement and distribution, and also there's a lot of space going on the king side. But there is a winning move after which black's just completely crushing and winning material. So hopefully you guys can find that. I will put the link in the description to the official puzzle post on chessuniversity.com, where if you guys post your solution before the answer is revealed tomorrow, you can get reward points on your account, which you can then use on the website. So this game was played between the players Lin and Yi on chess.com. The white player's rating isn't given, but the black player's rating was about 1900 on the website. So, and this was played in a blitz tournament. So let us see how we got to this position. If I had to wager, I would say it's probably a Nimzo based just on this pawn structure on the queen side with the doubled c-pawns and the pawn on d5. So d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, and there you go. Nimzo Indian. Bishop b4. Bishop g5. This can lead to some sharp stuff, but as long as black knows that they're supposed to play like h6 relatively early here, it's supposed to be pretty decent for black as far as I remember. h6 was indeed played, then bishop h4, keeping the pin, castles, knight f3, and b6 is a typical idea in the Nimzo to develop this bishop to the b7 square so it has influence along the long diagonal. White goes e3 to secure their center, bishop to b7, bishop to e2, so nothing super ambitious from white. They're just getting their pieces out, making sure their center is solid. But now after d6 castles, black decides to go for this exchange of bishop for knight, which is pretty typical if white doesn't defend the c3 knight with a piece. And it makes sense to do it here now that there's no pin, because now the knight would, could be either reinforced with moves like rook c1 or queen b3, or it could even move. So the timing here seems good. bc3, knight bd7, and this is a typical plan in the Nimzo after you exchange your dark square bishop to put your pawns on dark squares and to play for one of these pawn breaks and try to get white to commit and fix their structure so that the remaining pawns in the c-file become fixed and easier to attack. Queen to b3 played. Not too sure what this move's trying to do, to be honest. And after g5, bishop g3, feels like black should already have a very good position just in terms of the pawn structure. Then knight e4 was played. If you guys want, you can identify that there's already a threat here. You guys can pause the video if you want and see if you can spot it, but black is threatening something in this position. So for example, let's say, I don't know, a4 is played, right? There's a tactical thing to keep in mind. In any position, you want to see like where your valuable pieces are in relation to each other. So for example, if your king and your queen are on the same line, that's something you should be aware of, whether it's immediately relevant or not, because there's often tactical problems that can arise when you have your heavy pieces or your king and your queen or your king and your rook aligned in such a way they can be forked or skewered or pinned or any of these dangerous ideas. So you should notice that knight d2 is possible, but there's a knight on f3. So then your next step is, well, if only that knight wasn't there. And then you look at moves like g4, which displace the knight, and then if the knight were to move, say to h4, then knight d2 would come in and pick up some material. So that is sort of a threat in the position that I wanted to highlight. Anyway, so d5 was played by the white player, and now e5 is played, closing the center, and now there's a beautiful score on c5, sorry, for either of the knights. The black's already doing fantastic now, without tactics even. So knight d to c5, attacking the queen, queen c2, knight takes d3, queen takes d3, f5, knight to d2, trying to challenge this knight. Black decides that they simply want to preserve this piece. They could have gone for the tactic we're going to be seeing in a second anyway from here, but they decided to play knight c5 with tempo, which does not spoil really too much at all. yeah, and after queen e2, we have our tactic. The queen could have moved to other squares, but I believe the same concept is in play in that case as well. So anyway, after queen e2, it's once again black to play and move. This is our key moment, so hopefully you guys can solve it. And check back tomorrow for another video. Thanks for watching.